Hey everybody, John Brown here with you again today, and today I'm going to be talking about CaCao, a kind of light tile placement game. And instead of really going into showing you how to play the game, I'm going to try out a new format where we just kind of show you the components real quick and talk more about my thoughts about the game and not so much about the game itself. So I'm going to show you the components real quick, give you a super brief overview, and then come right back to talking about my thoughts about the game. Like I said, this is a simple game. Here's the rule book. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, and that is it. And then there's a reference sheet to tell you what all the jungle tiles do. So, pretty simple rules. Each player is going to have an area to be able to store beans and sun tiles and stuff, and then this is actually a really nice insert. Now, you're not going to want to stand this insert up unless you have some stuff keeping the stuff from falling out, but it is pretty nice. And basically, each player in the game is going to have a group of their worker tiles in their color that they can place out, and then jungle tiles are going to come out into the board during certain spots. A couple will start on the game. And then you'll activate your workers, and if new tiles come out, they get to activate if they're next to stuff that gets placed out. Because when you place a guy, he might be adjacent to one or two things, but eventually stuff will come out later, and they'll get to activate when that happens. And, and in the game, you're going to be getting beans, selling beans, and doing other stuff. And then there's a little area control thing to get temple, at the end of the game, and then there's some tiles that let you at the very end of the game, maybe in the last couple of rounds, place on top of one of your tiles that already exist. So eventually you're going to have, this kind of complex checkerboard of stuff out on the, with jungle tiles and your worker tiles, and, you score points based on where you are, how much water you got your guys on the tractor in the game. You score points for the temples, and the points you already got from selling beans or going to the gold mine, and that is the entire game. So when I just said that is the entire game, do not take that as a bad thing. So one of the things that's neat about this game is every turn until the end of the game when you've started using all your tiles, you're always going to have 3 tiles to choose from. So they have different layouts of workers on them. So certain workers can activate a tile multiple times, so on and so forth. So sometimes you're setting up because you really want to use something that's on the board. Sometimes you're setting up because you're going to be able to use one of the jungle tiles and place that. Also, sometimes you're just setting up for later. There's not a lot of great options. And you can, get money from getting beans selling, but you can only hold so many beans at a time. And then there's different value of market. So do you want to sell to a lower value right now so that you won't get overfilled with beans, or you want to wait for a higher one? You can just get gold directly at the gold mine. How much do you want to fight for the temples and the end game scoring? So even though on your turn, all you're going to be doing is placing one of your 3 worker tiles out on the board, potentially putting 1 or more jungle tiles, depending on if that basically makes a gap on the board, where 2 worker tiles, are like this, and then there's a gap in between them where a jungle tile can come out, and multiple jungle tiles might come out on a turn. And then activating. So based on what tile you placed, and then if any jungle tiles you placed are adjacent to people that have workers out. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I might have these 3 tiles to choose from. Now 2 of them are the same, and then this might be the board layout. Now it's going to be more complicated stuff or whatever. So basically, if I were to place, this guy like here, I would activate this double tile to get 2 cacao seeds 3 times. So I can only hold 5, so that might be inefficient. But then I could sell one of them for 3. But I can do this in any order. And also, because here, there's a gap between 2 worker tiles. They can be the same color or a different color. I'm also going to have to place one of the jungle tiles. There's always 2 available. So this one is where we get water, and this one, at the end of the game, people surrounding this, the leader will get 6 points, the person second will get 3. So maybe instead, I want to do something like this, where I'll get 4 total beans, 2 workers getting 2 times. I can sell one of them before or after, and then these also get placed before I activate stuff. So maybe, right now, red and yellow are tied for that. Maybe I want to give myself a water, and red water, or whatever, or I could do something totally different. I could do something like this, where I'm not worried about selling and get 2 water, or even take the lead on temples. And then at the end of my turn, after I activate, this guy, and these 2 guys won't actually do anything, they're just there for the end of the game to try to score this. If this was a tile that activated, then red would get to activate that single worker, and if it was just a temple, then they wouldn't. And then, if there are any jungle tiles taken, they'd come more out, so there's always 2 to choose from. And that's basically how a round works, and, is most of what you need to know about the game. And that's it. And this game is awesome. It's a relatively inexpensive game, and one of the things that I've had people tell me, even people who aren't super into tile laying games, like for example, Carcassonne can feel like you draw a tile and you just don't have anywhere good to put it. You're going to help an opponent. You're going to, there isn't a good option. Whereas in This game, you've always got, you may have better or worse options, but you always have options. You may have to choose, if I do this, it helps me more and my opponent, or do I do this instead? But it's never like, you have only bad options out there. And the fact that you can try to score a bunch of points real quick, you can try to wait for better things, sell stuff, you can try to focus more on moving up on that water track, because, there's 2 tiles that'll come out eventually in a game where you can get water, and then you can go all the way from -10 to +16 points for each activation there, which is a huge deal. So, and that's all the end game scoring too, is just where you're at in the water track, and then scoring for the temples, that you can score up to 6 points for each temple, and there will be a bunch of those that come out too. So, even though this game is super light, it's in a lot of ways, something that I wish more tile laying games had, where you have 3 options every round. And then the way that, even though it's real simple, I place a tile, and then maybe if it's set up right, place, one or more jungle tiles, and activate. That's super simple. There's still a lot of decisions about what's best, thinking short term and long term. So overall, this game is one that I can universally recommend. Even if you haven't liked some other tile games, if you're looking for kind of a filler, kind of something quick that anybody can play, but still, and this is something I say in a lot of reviews, something I really like, a game that's really simple, but still feels like it gives you options. It's not like, on my turn, there's only one thing I can do. Maybe there's one thing that'll help me the most right now. Maybe, though, I want to go after temples. Maybe, I got to decide, am I going to benefit myself and someone else, or do something less effective just for myself? And, all those little options in a quick playing game that plays up to 4 people with nice components and a nice insert, as long as you don't tip it, pretty awesome. So, really, I can't think of a single negative thing to say about this game. And so overall, if, the only thing I guess I can think of is if you only like, this game might be too light for some people, but I will say that, there's still interesting choices. It's not, just like there's only one ever option, and there can be some kind of cool turns where, you're placing something, you get to place 2, or maybe even more jungle tiles, and then everyone around that gets to activate. And at the end of the game, placing on top of one of your tiles with the sun tile if you have it, and kind of evaluating what each thing is going to be valuable to you in the short term versus long term, and helping people versus helping yourself. All that makes for a really neat game in a small package for a small price point in a small amount of time. So overall, CaCao is a pretty sweet game, and highly recommend. Alright, thanks a lot, guys. Tell me what you think if you like the quicker format where we don't really go over the gameplay. Yeah, because that definitely wasn't everything. There's a few other little details where you can, like I said, there are tiles that let you get a sun tile that you can then use that tile to place on top of something late in the game and stuff like that, where instead of showing you all those examples, just kind of giving you an idea of it and telling you what I think. So if that's something you like, then let me know. I've got several more games I'd like to hopefully show you guys sometime soon, and maybe if you like this, we'll do the shorter format, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. Alright, bye.